how cool. There's a squirrel up there. Okay, here we go. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. Haha. Almost there. Okay. Haha. Alright. There we go. Pretty creek. Got some interesting stuff over here. Gonna look through this gravel for a bit. Okay, so I'm seeing some shells already, which is great. Little tiny ones, which I love because I use them in jewelry. But there's also a ton of shale here, which is not something that I have a lot of locally where I'm from. So fingers crossed that we find something cool. Okay, so nothing wild so far, but we got a few cool ones. Hello and welcome back to my little cottage corner of the internet. My name is Emma and this is yet another video that is it's probably being generous if I call this organized chaos. It's probably just chaos if I'm being honest, but that's pretty on par for me. Regardless, my name is Emma. I'm glad you're here, and this video is a little bit different than what I'm used to doing, but I thought it could be fun to combine a few things, which I do that quite a bit because my neurodivergent brain does not work when it's just like baseline normal kind of functioning for whatever reason. Anyway, I'm rambling. This video is combining nature and fossil hunting and adventuring, which are some of my very, very favorite things of all time to do. It's combining that with some discussion on things that I have found to be pertinent as far as internet drama goes. And I don't even like saying drama because I don't feel like a lot of it is drama alone. I think a lot of these things that I'm gonna talk about are actually very, very important to you and me as regular everyday people. And I also think that it's important that even in these situations where it can be deemed as drama, there are things that we can learn and not just gossip about. You know, it's not just gossiping to have meaningful discussion. And the sun is like really coming down. I'm gonna scoot back here. Ugh. I think I was saying basically, I don't want this video to just be about drama. I think that a lot of these topics of conversation can actually be very pertinent to our everyday lives as regular people. And it's important that we take the things that are happening online and these big, massive scandals and things, and I think that we can learn a lot and grow from these things, even if we aren't directly involved. And I think there's a difference between gossiping just to gossip and having constructive discussions on things that are very important, even if they are masked by just a bunch of clout chasing, rage baiting, and whatever it might be. So I do think that regardless of the reason that these things have happened, I think that we can learn a lot from these things, and it's not wrong to discuss these things, and it doesn't make us petty for having substantial thoughts on these topics. So that is kind of what I'm gonna go on about today a little bit. And I do want to just preface by saying a lot of the things in this video are controversial, to say the least. And I want to make it very clear that my intent with this video is not to be hateful or judgmental towards any of the people or situations that are mentioned in this video. My intent here is to discuss these things that are happening on an everyday, average person kind of level, because a lot of the things that we see being so controversial in media tend to be a reflection of things that are happening in our everyday lives. And I want to use that almost as a case study on how we can approach these things in our everyday lives. With that being said, I absolutely will not tolerate people being hateful in the comments. It's not helpful. I understand that a lot of these things are very upsetting, and rightfully so, but I think that there's a much better way to lobby for change than to attack people on an individual level. So I'm not gonna be putting up with that. And I'm not saying that you can't be angry or disagree or think that some of the things I'm going to talk about are deplorable, because they are. I mean, that's the reality, but I want us to be very respectful in this space about how we are approaching these subjects. There are plenty of other videos and channels you can go to if you want to take jabs at people. So that is my long-winded intro. First thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is this whole situation with Matt and Abby allegedly leaving their children alone, unsupervised, on a cruise ship in their cabins while the couple went out for dinner. I want to preface this by saying they have denied this, and I hope that that is correct. I hope that that's the truth. I hope this is a huge misunderstanding. I hope that it was just very poorly worded in the original post where they shared this whole tip or hack for parents with FaceTiming these baby monitors. I sincerely hope that everyone just completely misunderstood and they just misworded this and it was just a massive misunderstanding. I am not going to comment on whether or not I believe that this is a misunderstanding or not, and I will leave that at that. But I do want to talk a little bit about some of the reasons why, even if in this situation they didn't do this, they left their kids with someone babysitting or whatever, a lot of parents, a lot of people leave their children unsupervised, so many more than we would probably like to realize. And it's so important that we have these discussions, because even if you're not leaving for an entire dinner like they allegedly did, even if you're just going across the street to pick something up from the neighbors, leaving your children unattended, especially children so young, their children are 1 year old and 2 years old, it's just dangerous for so many reasons. I mean, I know a lot of people have brought this up, but I mean, children, it doesn't take much to abduct children, especially when they're sleeping. It's scary. And I just, even more than that, they're on a cruise ship with so many places to hide that are unfamiliar. What if there was a fire? What if we had a Titanic moment and everyone needed to evacuate and they were trying to reach their children, going against flow of people panicking, trying to get, just, there are so many things that can go wrong, and it's scary. What if, I know growing up, my brother had seizures when he was young, and if they hadn't gotten him to the hospital, if they hadn't heard him on the baby monitor, he could have died. They were across the hall. I also think about things like SIDS, and while it is notable their children are older and probably don't have to worry as much about SIDS, it's still like there are so many things just as an average person without any following or notoriety. There are so many things that could go wrong. That is so much more, the risk is so much higher when they are recognizable people, and we know that somebody recognized them on the cruise. That's scary. There are people, we know this, people who just will wait for the right opportunity. I think of cases like, I'm so upset that I can't remember her name. I'll put it on screen here. But this man stalked her. He didn't know her and killed her just because he wanted to, because she was a famous person. And we see that time and time again. And she was an adult. We think about things too, like What if there are people watching and waiting to get to you, but then they see that your children are not with you? That's really scary. And I'm so thankful that these kids are okay. But I really, really, I just want to emphasize how incredibly important it is that we protect children in every way. Like, as adults, I think every single adult has the responsibility to protect and advocate for children, regardless of if you are a parent or a caregiver. I think it's everyone's responsibility. If you are an adult, it is our job to protect children. And unfortunately, there are people out there who want to harm children. With that being said, the big takeaways from this, just as is, as a content consumer, it's important for us to remember our support, the way that we give our social media currency, it does matter. Don't give them the views if you do not think that they are operating in a way that is ethical. And I'm not saying that they aren't. I'm just saying that if that is something that you feel personally, don't support them by giving them the view. Just don't do it. I think another thing, definitely a much more important aspect of this conversation, just don't leave your children unsupervised, people. Don't do it. Ever. I know that that sounds really difficult, and I'm not saying that it isn't difficult, but what I'm saying is, as a parent, it is your responsibility to protect your children, and your children are not safe if you are not with them. They can't help themselves if they choke. What happens if they throw up and they choke and they aspirate? Again, just so many things that could go wrong, that could be fixed or at least improved with an adult present. So that is my takeaway for this video. Again, I don't mean to be judgmental. That's not my goal, but I do want to raise some awareness that, like, this happens a lot, and this happens on cruise ships. So again, I've said don't leave your children unsupervised. Furthermore, do not leave your children unsupervised ever on a cruise ship. Ever. Please. That's gonna be it from me today. I know this was kind of a different sort of video, but I don't know. I'm enjoying this commentary. I enjoy commentary stuff, so I thought it might be worth trying it out for myself. But yeah, if you have thoughts on this, feel free, leave a comment. I would love to talk with you about all of this, because genuinely, it's a crazy story, and I think it's just gonna get crazier over the next few weeks. So we will see. But that is it from me. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye, guys!